So I've already recorded and edited a video talking about this movie, but while I was editing, in the middle of editing that video, a whole bunch of shit came out. Articles, reviews, photos from the first 2 screenings. It's been a fucking lot, and it's got me even more fucking excited for this movie. Jesus Christ, I like... The hype is real. Anyways, before we get into it, my name is Nate. I play guitar and I sing in a band called Casper Flip. If you haven't been to this channel before, if you haven't watched any of our videos before, please go check out the other one. I literally just today posted a video about New Year's Rev and how hyped I am for it and all the little specks of information that we're getting. I kind of wish I'd waited to record this video, but c'est la vie, am I right? Anyways, in case you don't know, New Year's Rev is a new movie produced by and starring Green Day, written and directed by Lee Kirk, about this little garage band in Kansas called the Analog Dogs that get pranked into thinking that they are opening for Green Day on New Year's Eve in Los Angeles, and so they travel from Kansas to Los Angeles, hijinks ensue, etc., etc., etc. So, first off, editing Nate here. Before we even get into any of this video, I want to give a major spoiler warning because there is no way that anyone other than the people at TIFF have seen this movie yet. But this new article released by Spin Magazine titled 3 Kids, 1 Ice Cream Truck, and Green Day's Biggest Joke was just released on September 16th, and I will give a quick little rundown. So, in this article, it's released by Lee Kirk that they mostly shot the movie in Oklahoma City because Route 66 goes through it, and I wanted the movie to have this Americana feel to the road trip. The plot is really just the hijinks and stupidity of how 3 teenage boys get to LA and what happens when they discover the promise of an opening slot was just a practical joke played on them by the singer's older brother. So, just a little bit more information from some media outlets that the prank is not played on them by schoolmates or other friends. It is played on them by the lead singer's older brother. And this article also reveals that on top of having Green Day songs in the movie, obviously, as part of the soundtrack, there were 2 original songs written by Jacob Armstrong, along with the obvious cameo by The Paradox. In the interview, Kirk reveals that it was such a late addition to TIFF because they finished the movie late, and we get a little bit of insight into how Lee Kirk cast Billy Joe in Ordinary World back in 2016. He was asked, "Did you ever go see Green Day back in the day?" He said, "Oh yeah, I saw Green Day way back in the 90s, and then I took my nephew to see the American Idiot musical. I just lost touch a little with Green Day, and I was like, whoa, this music is amazing. This is so different than Basket Case, and all that." So it was interesting because I got back into them right around the time that Billy Joe and I hooked up and started to work on my other film, Ordinary World. I was chasing an actor for Ordinary World in 2016. We sent it straight to that actor's agent, and she said, "He can't, but I also represent Billy Joe Armstrong, and he's looking for something to do." We said, "Let's send it to Billy," and he read it the night he got it, and the next day he said, "I'd love to talk to you about this movie." That never really happens with actors. Usually you have to wait like a month for them to read the script. Instantly, I was like, I like this guy. It was a really fun time working together. He hadn't done a lot of acting, so when I cast him, we spent a lot of time working on the role together and rewriting the role to really fit his voice. We just got to know each other really well, and he ended up writing the music for the movie because there's some songs that his character would sing in the film. We just became buddies. And he's asked once again, did some of the incidents come from real Green Day stories? And he replies, so much of the little story pieces in the film have their seeds in real Green Day moments and their lives. The ice cream truck was inspired by the Bookmobile, their 1993 tour bus that they drove around in as young kids that Trey's dad had bought and fixed up for them. There's a moment in the story when a young girl knocks on the ice cream truck and says, "Can I get some ice cream?" And they're like, "This is not an ice cream truck." That had its seeds in one time when the Bookmobile was parked in front of a venue. A mom and her daughter were thinking they were going to get a book, and they were in there smoking weed or something. And she said, "This isn't a Bookmobile, this is a drug deal." And big spoilers. I'm assuming that there's going to be a little bit of gore in the film, considering this next story. Sleepy, the head in the jar, has the seeds in a true story. In Germany, they played a show, and after they needed a place to stay, and they're like, can anyone let us stay? And this guy let him use his place, and when he said, you're in this room, there was a head in a jar on the shelf. They were all quite stunned. And he said, oh, don't worry about that, that's just Sleepy. And he left. Along with all of that information about just some general story beats, the ice cream truck and Sleepy, we've got some new character names, like Olivia, which I'm assuming is going to be McKenna Grace's character because she's the obvious love interest. When asked about the comedy in the film or some other funny things the guys asked to slip in, one thing that Billy Joe had said about Mike, he does a lot of puns, especially when he was younger. That's why the puppet does all these little puns. So apparently there's going to be a puppet somewhere in the movie. Actually, the characters are not really based on all three of them. There's little tiny details of them that are threaded throughout all the characters. I took a look on Reddit and I found this post about New Year's Rev being filmed at a local diner. But that's all of the information we got from this new Spin Magazine article. I just thought I'd pop it in here before the video really gets started, just because it's got some spoilers in there for people who don't live in Toronto or who were not able to go to the Toronto International Film Festival, just like myself. So we're all scrounging around for information as it comes out. So enjoy the rest of the video, and I will see you at the end. Now, like I said, when I was recording that other video, very little, plot details other than the basic synopsis have been released right now. It's kind of hard to gauge just from the information and the teaser what exactly the role Green Day sort of plays other than a plot device. Whether or not they are, side characters, I'm assuming they're not, just given the shots in the trailer that actually feature them. Granted, yes, the plot is going to be like a road trip movie. Yesterday, we got a full-on interview, not just with Lee Kirk, the director, but also with Billy Joe from Green Day, just talking about the movie with The Hollywood Reporter. We also got a couple of written reviews from online movie critics, as well as a bunch of photos and some videos from the first TIFF screening. And it's all very exciting. And I'm going to go into everything just a little bit, kind of put my fingers in all the pies right now. First, with that Hollywood Reporter interview. Now, we get a lot of really cool insight on just the general making of the movie with this interview. The first question being asked is how the movie even came to be. And Billy, having previously worked with Lee Kirk on a movie that I talked about in my last video called Ordinary World in 2016, Lee is a big Green Day fan, as is his wife, Jenna Fisher, and her co-host on Office Ladies, Angela Kinsey. Billy said he had been wanting to make a Green Day movie for a while. And so they had chatted for a little bit about what movies they enjoyed, like Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Breakfast Club, Risky Business, National Lampoon's Vacation. And this quote from Lee Kirk sums everything up really good. We just kept spitballing until I hit upon an idea of this prank that happens with Mason Thames' character's older brother. It was just so fun to write because I basically had the entire catalog of Green Day music to pull from. Lee Kirk talks about some of his favorite moments from the shoot. From the beginning, Billy Joe and I had talked about we would do a real concert when we shot Green Day playing the Palladium. We did stage the concert, but man, that was so fun to shoot. We had incredible extras who were just Green Day fans. I'm especially proud of the energy of their concert. Now, as for what Green Day songs will be included in the film, they did touch on that specifically. As of right now, we know that Last Night on Earth, Know Your Enemy, American Idiot, and Good Riddance are all going to officially be in the movie. And I think it's safe to say that Holiday will be in the movie just from its use in the trailer. And here we get a little bit of insight on the new original music for the movie. Armstrong said, quote, "Creating the songs for the band, that was my son Jacob. He wrote almost all the songs for the band, and he became a bit of a musical director on set where he was in McKenna Grace's band. Jake and I collaborated on one song together, which made it really special because he's such a great musician, and it was just fun. I was like, oh my gosh, me and my son are collaborating on this film together." Which I think goes to show how good the quality of the new original music is going to be in the movie. And with Mason Thames being in the live-action How to Train Your Dragon and soon Regretting You, that had to be a pretty hard person to get a hold of, especially with him being so busy. But apparently Lee Kirk had his eye on him from the very beginning and was very excited when he was able to get him cast. They then go on to ask how much from the film was inspired by Green Day's actual history. And Billy goes on to say, "It's about the experience that Green Day had on the road in the early days of a more DIY spirit. We played anywhere and everywhere, and a lot of shows would get shut down because the cops would come. But there's also the mud fight that happened at Woodstock. Lee did a great job of incorporating all of those elements that we've had in the past." And they go on to talk about whether or not any of Green Day's political leanings or anything would be ushered into the film. And both Armstrong and Kirk have said that there was really no need for the movie to get political in any way, shape, or form. They wanted it to be a fun road trip movie and be more about individualism and working outside of the mainstream. And overall, with all of this that we've been given, it just seems like Green Day fans are really, really in for a treat. Next up is one of the first reviews from the TIFF screenings that I've been able to find, and the title reads, "TIFF 2025, Green Day's New Year's Rev is a tender tribute to Teenage Dirtbag." This is by Alex Hudson, and he gives it a 7, better than average, essentially. He said, "Technically, New Year's Rev is set in the present day, but unless you look closely, you'd swear it was a long-lost 90s comedy in the mold of Empire Records or Can't Hardly Wait, with its muted color palette, punk rock soundtrack, and story of punk rock dirtbags who want nothing more than to skip school and rock out. There's even some VHS camcorder footage to really drive home the nostalgia." And I think that's what we've been getting out of all of the trailers and information in the months leading up to this TIFF release. It says that Green Day are co-producers, part actors, and the central plot device that kickstarts the movie. It goes on to give us just a little bit more about the plot, quote, "which is about a Kansas City punk trio called the Analog Dogs who are pranked into thinking that they're opening up for Green Day at a New Year's Eve gig in Los Angeles. The road trip story follows these 3 delinquents as they scam, steal, and scheme their way across the country." And he goes on to say that's pretty much the whole plot, which is more about gleefully half-baked hijinks, entering a battle of the bands at a biker roadhouse, falling in love with a manic pixie punk rocker at a show at the Dump, and Green Day needle drops than it is about logical plotting. Car breaks down, no worries, they'll be gifted another one in the next scene. This goofy film has moments of sentimentality that doesn't quite earn, but those schlocky emotional beats make a lot more sense upon considering that the film begins at Christmas and ends at New Year's. This is a holiday movie where some hokiness is encouraged, and this type of trip down cinematic memory lane will go down as easy as spiked eggnog. And overall, that, I think, is a glowing review, considering the reviews that I've read for Ordinary World back in 2016. And granted, I figured there would be, quote, moments of sentimentality that it doesn't quite earn, but, I mean, like I said, it's a movie about Green Day, And I think it's literally just meant to be a fun little road trip movie, and you're not meant to take anything too seriously or not sustain your disbelief for the entire runtime. And I'm glad that we get a couple more little tidbits about the plot, like the Analog Dogs entering a battle of the bands at a biker roadhouse, and I'm assuming Mason Thames' character falling in love with McKenna Grace, who seems like she's a manic pixie punk rocker at a show at the Dump. That's where it looks like this scene is going to take place. And the fact that we know that they're going to end up scamming, stealing, and scheming, quote, their way across the country seems to be prime fodder for like just comedy, whether it's emotional, slapstick, or just general physical comedy. It seems like it's going to be really, really fun. Now, I didn't reveal this in the very beginning, but I have a source on the inside that has seen New Year's Rev at TIFF, and they said that hardcore Green Day fans are going to love it. And they said that the original music that was given on this cassette right here, they said that it kind of sounds like a younger Billy Joe, and it basically sounds like Green Day, which again, I'm expecting. It's a band that models themselves after Green Day and loves Green Day so much that they're willing to drive across the country to open up for them. They said, it sounds like Billy, but not 100%. It's either Billy or the boys mimicking him, and says they sound kind of emo. And they revealed that the version of Basket Case on the cassette tape is the cassette demo version of Basket Case from the 30th anniversary Dookie box set.
You have the time to listen to me whine about nothing and everything all at once.
It's just listed as Basket Case, so you wouldn't know unless you put in the cassette tape and took the time. They did rate the movie 10 out of 10. I am assuming that they're a Green Day fan. That was really all that I could kind of squeeze out of them, which is all right. I'm not trying to get too picky on details or anything like that. I just thought it would be good to provide my fellow Green Day fans with more information on this movie, and I can't believe that I was just getting this information about this movie after I've already recorded, edited, and published the video. So you'll probably get this 2 or 3 days after my What Should We Expect video. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe. Please check out our music on Bandcamp or Spotify. That Bandcamp is www.casperflip-band.bandcamp.com. You can find our socials at CasperFlipTX, no capitalizations. And there we post regular updates, we post photos from shows, we post videos from shows, and we post whenever we are having a show. So please, if you are into punk rock music and you're wanting to support local music, please go follow us on Instagram, follow us on Spotify or Bandcamp or wherever you stream your music. We play with a lot of really, really great bands in the Dallas area. So please just support local music. If there are any more updates on this movie, I will for sure put out another video, whether it's a short or something like that. But for the time being, this is all I've got. Thanks. See ya.